Aaron Rodgers is such a troll.
That and some stuff about the Bears on this episode of the Halas Huddle.
Huddle up! Huddle up, Bears fans. As always, I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. With me tonight is Bob Weiss, and we got a special midweek news or noise episode for you guys. Bob, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. There's always stuff to talk about the Bears. Team's going away for 6 weeks, but that does not mean we can't find some things to discuss. And, of course, news and noise format is one of our favorites. So you ready, Rob?
I'm ready, but before we do, I just want to say, please go to the subscribe button, hit that button now, hit the like button, and then go to the comment section. We love continuing that conversation. It does help with the algorithm, so that's always a good thing there. It doesn't matter what you guys want to talk about. I know Dr. Truth gave us a lot of fun comments the other week, and it was fun to learn some things that he was putting out there. So, again, anything you want to talk about, preferably Bears, but if you want to talk about anything else, go ahead. Let us know in the comment section. Also, because this is going to air before our next episode releases, happy Father's Day to those who are out there for this upcoming Sunday. Absolutely. Now let's get into it.
All right. So, Rob, the Bears are going to regret not signing an established veteran running back like Nick Chubb or J.K. Dobbins. News or noise?
I don't need a Chubb for the Chicago Bears. I just don't. I've been dealing with this for almost 40 years, and no Dobbins either. We'll leave that joke aside. But look, I mean, we talked about it early on. I didn't think it was ever going to be in the realm of a possibility. So to me, this is noise. I don't think they're going to regret it at all. Nick Chubb coming off that injury, I don't think he's going to be, even close to 100%. We had talked about it. If it was a really team-friendly deal, go ahead. But, it was hilarious seeing everyone on social media talking about how Nick Chubb is in the building. Nick Chubb is at Halas Hall. And then it's literally like months go by and everyone's now, trolling those people saying, is Nick Chubb still stuck in the building? What's going on? He hasn't signed with anyone. And now he signs a 1-year deal with the Houston Texans, unless you're, Yahoo Sports, whose article was a 10-year deal with their typo. You guys can go check that out on searching for that. And then J.K. Dobbins, I think, is a perfect landing spot for him in Denver, because I kind of feel like he plays similarly to Alvin Kamara, and now you got him paired up with Sean Payton. So, yeah, I think they're fine with DeAndre Swift. I think he doesn't get enough love, and I think they're fine with Roschon Johnson as long as he can stay healthy. But I think Kyle Monangai is a legitimate threat to even be that RB2.
Yeah, so I'm going to go noise as this is written, specifically a veteran quarterback, Chubb and Dobbins. Like the way they've gone about this running back room this offseason is clearly they're comfortable with their guys. But I will go noise maybe, or news with the spirit of this question is I do believe that there will be at least one point during this upcoming season where we're going to look at, man, that running back room is awfully thin. Right. And we know Roschon Johnson really can't be counted on for 17 games. Like, we don't know what Monangai can be. We think he's going to have a great floor, but like, is he really a guy that's going to be deserving 18 to 20 carries a game if it comes to it? And then, DeAndre Swift has a specific role, and that's not necessarily a bell cow back. So I think that there just could be a point where you think, man, I really wish we had a little bit more dependability in that room. But yeah, do you need to get rid of Roschon Johnson to bring in a Nick Chubb? Because remember, there's only so many spots with Travis Homer being a clear special teams ace. And it's just, I don't think they're going to regret specifically those guys, but running back room could be an issue.
Yeah, when we see Travis Homer as the starting running back for the Chicago Bears 1 week, that's going to be the problem. All right, let's move on. Look, recently, this week, Aaron Rodgers was at a live event, and I don't know if you saw this, Bob, but he was at a live event, and he continued his trolling of the Chicago Bears. His exact words were to a Bears fan who was talking to him, basically saying that he felt, why couldn't you have just retired, Aaron? Why couldn't you have just retired? And his response was, you must be one of those, real Bears fans, right? The best thing about Bears fans is every year, this is our year. This is our year. We added this guy and that guy, and we got a new head coach from Detroit. Oh, man, look out, right? Packers fans, we know that, right? And what does every coach that signs with the Bears say? We got to beat the Packers, right? Well, guess what? The Packers don't give a shit. That was his quote. So, Bob, I ask you, at this point, Aaron Rodgers is just a troll collecting a paycheck at this point in his career.
I will say noise. There is nothing in what you just read to me that is false, right? Like, just because it's true and we don't like it doesn't make him a troll. It means that this man knows exactly what's been going on this side of the border for 20 years or so, however long he's been in the league. And to that point, I think underestimating Aaron Rodgers is probably a problem. I don't think the New York Jets did him any favors. We know that that's also a dumpster fire of an organization. And I think what they thought they had to do was bend over backwards to bring in his guys, his offensive coordinators, his receivers. And I think going to Pittsburgh is going to be good for him because that's an established place that he's coming in. Like as much as clearly the man has an ego, he can't be so egotistical to think that he's going to come in and change the Steeler way, right? So if he can just come in and just be a player, like I think he's going to be fine that way. I truly think that he thinks that he's capable of winning a Super Bowl. And this stuff trolling the Bears is just cherry on top for him.
Yeah, it's complete news. It is news. He is washed. He is done. He is not going to amount to anything. He hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2011. Okay, his career, he's washed. I'm sorry. Look, you can come at me, Aaron Rodgers. Go ahead, troll me because I'm your typical Bears fan. I'm the one that has the hope the bear goggles get put on. But guess what? All I care about right now is him losing in Soldier Field when the Bears play against them this season, right? And it's just one of those things where, like, look, he says, I own the Bears. He's not wrong. He's not wrong when he says those things. The whole belt going up into the fans and doing all that stuff, he is the perfect troll. That's what he does. But at this point in his career, I think he's done. He's last year he was coming off the Achilles injury, so I get like it probably took him, a little bit of time to get going. We saw Kirk Cousins, struggle a little bit last year too and lose his job to Penix. I just think that he's just look. I just can't like him. I just can't. I'm sick of him. He should have retired. I agree with that other Bears fan who was at that live event. Just go away. Just ride off into the sunset. Go take your ayahuasca shit that you do and go in your dark space. And never come back. Just go hide away in your hole. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to see you. You're done. Look, honestly, look at this. He's following Justin Fields, right? Like he's going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They'll probably have a winning season. So I guess technically he'll make the playoffs, but it's more Mike Tomlin than it is Rodgers. I'm just done with him.
I feel like that had to be some of the appeal for him. Follow up Bears quarterback in Pittsburgh and show what it's done.
Maybe that's part of his troll job. Like, look what I can do, guys.
Yeah. So on to another former Packer. Packers made a big move this week in cutting Jaire Alexander, former Pro Bowl cornerback for them. So news or noise, Rob, the Bears should consider signing Jaire Alexander after the Packers cut him.
Yeah, I have noise on this one, and it really has nothing to do with the fact that he was a former Green Bay Packer. I'm not a big fan of him. He's a little bit chirpy. I feel like he's kind of fallen off a little bit over the last year or two. But for me, I just think that the Bears' defensive back room is just fine. I'm not overly concerned about that position at all. Jalen Johnson is way better than Alexander, so right there is fine. If you want to say he's an upgrade over Steven Alexander or Terrell Smith, I don't disagree with that. But I don't think it's a need. And I feel like you're just putting money into a position that it's not needed. So for me, again, it's noise. They don't need to bring him in. I'd rather them put that money towards a different position if they're going to look at bringing in a veteran.
Yeah, this is also 100% noise. I know that's kind of boring, but this was all over sports radio this week, and I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, the narrative was you can never have too many cornerbacks. You got to take a look. And, like, look, there's so many reasons why not to. One, first and foremost, the Packers are trying to win a Super Bowl. They don't really necessarily have crazy cap issues. I'm sure this helps relieve some tension, but like if they're trying to win a Super Bowl, don't you think they want this guy on their team? So why would they cut him? That's number one. Number two, he hasn't played a full season in like 3 years, like not even close. And the last reason, he's just not like a team player. There's that crazy situation in Carolina a couple years ago where he just decided that he was going to be a team captain, didn't tell anybody, and then I kind of messed up the coin toss, but it didn't work. Like, that's just a me guy, not a team guy, and just like, no, I don't, this guy doesn't need to come anywhere near the Bears, let alone, like you said, the position's fine. We're good at corner. We're fine.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, you say that you can't have too many cornerbacks, but I will say you don't want too many quarterbacks. So, Bob, 2025, news or noise, is a make or break year for Caleb Williams.
So I'm going strong noise on this one. And this question kind of centers from something that I saw on ESPN. And I understand that they got to make these things to make people click and see what happens. But there was like 2 or 3 just tired narratives in this 2-paragraph little blurb on ESPN. Like one, as if like a second year in the league, like you have to be an all-pro, otherwise he's a bust, which is just an insane thing. And the other thing ESPN tried to push down is that if he struggles at first because of the comments that he made before he even got drafted, like Bears fans are going to jump down and yet try to push him out of town if he struggles, which is also just insane. I have yet to have a single conversation with any of my friends, any of my coworkers. I haven't even seen a single comment in our comment section that somehow like is hating on Caleb Williams because of those comments. So maybe I just hang out with, educated people who will understand, enlightened people who know that it's just like what should have gone on. But I don't know any Bears fan who thinks that what Caleb Williams said 15, 16 months ago when he was just figuring out the process has any impact on what they think of how he's going to be this year. So it's noise. Now we need to see progress. We have to see progress, but it's not like all pro or bust. And then, we got to move on. Like, that's just insane talk.
Yeah, I'm going to ride the fence on this one just to be a little bit of a devil's advocate because I want to talk a little bit on the other side. One, you clearly are not in any Facebook groups because that's where the crazies are. Okay.
That's where Facebook and Twitter. No, thank you.
Yeah. That's where the crazies are. Our comment section, smart Bears fans. Facebook groups, not so much. It is a cesspool of fans who are literally like, this guy doesn't want to be here, then run him out of here. Let's get Tyson Bagent in here. He's the better quarterback. I mean, and it's just constant. But that is a recurring theme for any season that happens here in Chicago. It doesn't matter if it's Justin Fields, if it's Mitch Trubisky, if it's Rex Grossman. I, to this day, remember when Jay Cutler was quarterback and I was sitting in the stands and there's a guy sitting behind me. He's a season ticket holder and he's literally screaming, "Get Caleb Haney in there. Get Caleb Haney in there. He's better than Cutler. And it's just over and over. And I like, is he trolling? Is he taking notes from Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. It's like, guys, relax. Caleb had the single best rookie season for a Chicago Bears quarterback. And I know that the floor, or the bar wasn't that high. But if that's his floor, like, why are we overly concerned here? I will say, and I don't want to say make or break. So that's where this is news versus noise. And you touched on it is we do need to see progress though, right? Specifically in downfield throws. And that's really the only thing that I want to see here. To me, it's make or break for Caleb. If he's not hitting those downfield throws, and I know Ben Johnson talked about it, it can take time. He talked about it, and I wasn't a fan of the fact that he used Ryan Tannehill as his example. But
what his experience is.
Yeah, that's what he saw when he was with him in Miami. But I do need to see better deep throws. I need to see more consistency in that area. And if we see that, then as long as he maintains that floor, fine. But if he doesn't, then it could be a potential break. The thing, though, is he's going to be here for another 3 years. So let's just stop.
He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. Number 1 overall pick. He's not going anywhere. It's not going to happen. And you say deep throws, which I agree with. Deep throws would be, something we got to do better at. But for me, it's the sacks. He has got to prove that the sack issue is not him and that it was the offensive line and the scheme. If we're talking at the end of the year, he's creeping up on 50 or more sacks at the end of the year. That's could be a problem. It's still not make or break. But it's like, okay, you need to fix this. Otherwise, you're not going to make that second contract.
And maybe in that regard for sacks, it's like put up or shut up is like the better phrase, right? Because they totally rehauled this line with at least 2 guys you can count on in Drew Dahlman and Joe Thuney, right? And then you got Darnell Wright, who has been a staple at that right tackle position since he's been here. So yes, left tackle is a little bit iffy. I'm really curious to see if Braxton Jones is truly going to be back here at the start of training camp and how that competition is going to go between him and Trapilo and Amagaji. And Jonah Jackson is a proven veteran guard, right? Like he was kind of put out of position in LA. So let's hope that we see the Detroit Lions version. But if he comes back at that Detroit Lions version, like those 3 guys right there, you should not be taking. I mean, if he's over 35 sacks this year, that's a problem.
Yeah, I'm going to say 40. I'll give him a little leeway and just get a nice round number at 40. But it's certainly a no excuses when it comes to the sacks this season. No excuses for Clayton on sacks. So, all right. So every defensive player that seemed to come to the podium over the last couple of weeks mentioned a couple words, complexity and complicated when talking about Dennis Allen. Now, some of them were talking about Dennis Allen, the man, as a person, his personality, and some were talking about the scheme. But should we be worried about the complexity of Dennis Allen's system? So, Rob, news or noise? Dennis Allen's complex defensive scheme will result in a slow start for the defense.
Yeah, I'm honestly just gonna say noise. Not in the sense that I think it has anything to do with the scheme per se. I think it's just because this defense as a unit, look, chemistry and continuity is very important and in any sport. And this defense is pretty much the same unit that we saw last year out of a few different guys. And the guys that they brought in, like Grady Jarrett, I have no concerns, right, with him. Dio maybe a little bit, but like your defensive backs are all the same. Your linebackers are essentially all the same, at least for the 2 starters. I think having that continuity will kind of eliminate the growing pains that you're going to see that you would normally see, at least maybe from a younger team or a team that's kind of like makeshift together. And I think guys like Montez Sweat, because the way that Dennis Allen's system is, he gets to just pin his ears back and go get the quarterback. Like, it's not one of those things where he's constantly dropping back in coverage like you used to see with like Vic Fangio having Khalil Mack drop back. And it was kind of like, what are we doing here? So I mean, I get the reasoning and I get the point, but for me, I think it's just going to be noise for the fact that they've been playing together for a while. I think they're going to be fine. That's all I got.
So I'm going to go with just a little bit of news here. It's a little bit of a devil's advocate, a little bit of news. I think when every player on defense mentions that, it's something that they're obviously noticing. So I wonder what that complexity really truly is, because, I mean, yeah, going into this process before they started talking in camp, it was like Dennis Allen's defensive line scheme was just about attacking the man in front of you. So, I mean, where is the complexity coming in? But I just, even though I'm saying it's a bit of news that this defense might get off to a slow start, I think it's just natural. Anytime you're bringing in something new, there's going to be an adjustment period. There should be an adjustment period. As much as training camp and OTAs and preseason games are supposed to get you ready to go, there's still nothing like the real live reps when the first week starts. So I do anticipate there to be some type of adjustment period, let's call it. When you call it slow start or adjustment period, that's fine. But that's not also me saying it's too complex and you should dumb it down. It's just, it's just going to take some time to get up to speed. It's, more about just getting better as the season goes along, as opposed to being as good as you're definitely going to be the whole season in week 1.
Yeah, I think really what we're seeing too is a lot of attention to detail, right? Because we're hearing a lot about how Ben Johnson is like, look, if he doesn't like it, he's blowing the whistle, and you're having that conversation in that moment, right? And I think with Dennis Allen's system, I don't know because I didn't hear all of the interviews, so I don't know if they were very specific on what it was they were struggling with. But to me, my guess is that it's the stunts, it's the disguises, right? Because that's what he does. That was vastly different than Matt Eberflus. Is like there was a lot of disguises. Like you didn't know potentially who was coming when they were coming. So my guess is that it has a lot to do with that. And I can see your point. Like it probably will take a little bit of time. The hope is that I feel like the defensive backs are good enough to at least keep them, the offenses at bay. And I do feel like typically defenses start stronger in the NFL than offenses do. So hopefully that will be in the Bears' favor.
Yeah, you'd love to see it.
Well, maybe what they need to do is get some veteran help. I don't know if it'll be on offense, but maybe they need to get a little bit of veteran help on defense. So, Bob, I'm going to throw this at you. News or noise, fans should expect at least one veteran addition to the roster before training camp.
I'm going to say news here, and I'm saying news, and I have no idea who it might be or at what position it might be, but I just think it's good football business sense to continue to increase competition. These guys have been around each other for the last several weeks competing. And I just think it's one of those things, bring in some more people to compete. Now, maybe it's just guys on veteran minimum contracts. Maybe it's not bringing in somebody who actually you think is going to really depend on this season, but it's just bring in some new bodies, some fresh blood. There's got to be somebody out there that could potentially make this roster better, if nothing else than just because he increased competition during camp. But I'd be more surprised if nothing happens than if they bring in, even a big free agent.
Yeah, and we've seen some cuts already, right? Obviously, we talked about Jaire Alexander already. We saw the linebacker Pratt get cut out of Cincinnati, which I thought was going to lead to a Trey Hendrickson. They got some dead cap money back, or they saved some salary cap money there. So I thought for sure it was going to be a Trey Hendrickson signing shortly after. That hasn't happened yet. Now they're dealing with the Shamar Stewart situation. Gosh, thank goodness that the Bears had nothing to do with him. Just like we said, please stay away.
I think that's 100,000,000% to Cincinnati Bengal issues. When was the last contract dispute that the Cincinnati Bengals handled properly? It's on them. It's got to be.
To a degree, but at this point, what can you really argue outside of certain languages? And it sounds like what they're talking about. Is potentially off the field stuff. And if you recall, Roquan Smith missed time for fighting for that same nonsense here in Chicago. And, from what I'm, look, I remember during COVID, him out in the boats with the strippers, it's just not necessarily a good sign for me thinking, but look, if he has a career starting like Roquan Smith, I guess it's hard to argue, but either way, I still think they dodged a bullet and I'm glad they went Colston Loveland. But one name that I did see out there that could be a potential June 1st cut that kind of makes sense and is it on the defense side is Cameron Jordan, former New Orleans Saints defensive end. Now, look, this is just speculation. It's rumors. That's not something that's really been floated out there. He has been at mini camp, so it's not like he's holding out or anything like that. But he's 36 years old, and he could come here to Chicago, already know Dennis Allen's system, right? He's been playing in it for years. And doesn't need to necessarily be the 1 or 2. He could be the 3, and that would be fantastic. I don't know what type of contract he'd be looking for, but according to the article that I was reading, the Saints, look, they have a new coaching regime, right? But if they look to move him, whether it's through trade or cut, if they get rid of him now because it's after June 1st, they would reduce his dead money hit from $28.53 million all the way down to $9.77. So look, that's not bad for a team that's constantly dealing with salary cap issues, right? Yeah, that one would make complete sense to me.
And he's the type of player too, where he's debating, all right, I'm 36 years old. Do I really want to stay with this Saints team that's clearly rebuilding, new coach, new quarterback? Or is it hey, can you guys do me a solid and let me move on so I can try to go latch on somewhere else at this point in my career? So it's plausible for sure.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of News or Noise. Again, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and go to the comment section. Hit the like button. We will continue that conversation going forward. Let us know if there's anything that's happened over the last week or two that you want us to address. Whether we get to it in the comment section, maybe we'll throw it into the News or Noise section for the next time we get together. Until then, Bob, bear down, claws up.
Look.
Ready, break.